Namaskar everyone. In this lecture, I will discuss most important article of the Indian Constitution. This is Article 19. यानी कि आज के इस लेक्चर में मैं भारतीय संविधान के अनुच्छेद 19 के बारे में थोड़ी चर्चा करूंगी. You know that this article has 6 rights. The first right is right to freedom of speech and expression. And second right is right to assemble peacefully and without arms. And third right is right to form association or union or cooperative societies. And fourth right is right to freely move throughout the territory of India. And fifth right is right to reside and or settle in any part of the country. And the last right is the right to practice any profession or carry on any trade or business or occupation. Now we will discuss these rights in detail one by one. But before this, I would like to tell you that these rights are available only the citizens of the India. These are not available to the foreigners and any legal persons. And these rights are a protection against the action of the state, not the action of the individuals. And this right this article had earlier 7 rights. But the right to acquire, hold, or dispose of property. This right was deleted by the 44th Amendment Act of 1976. यानी कि जो 44वां संवैधानिक संशोधन हुआ था उसके तहत जो राइट टू एक्वायर, होल्ड एंड डिस्पोज ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी वाला जो राइट था उसको डिलीट किया गया, उसको हटा दिया गया. And we must remember that these rights are not unlimited. The state has power to impose a reasonable restriction on the exercise of these six rights given under the Article 19. Now, the first right to freedom of speech and expression. It is most important fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution. This right means, or the freedom of right to freedom of speech and expression. It means that every citizen of this country has right to express his views, opinion, and conviction or belief in any manner, by writing, by speaking, by printing, or in any other manner. यानी कि भारत के प्रत्येक नागरिक को अपने विचारों को, अपने व्यूज को, अपनी ओपिनियन को एक्सप्रेस करने का एक अधिकार है, एक मौलिक अधिकार है. वो चाहे वो बोल कर करे या फिर वो लिख कर करे या फिर वो प्रिंटिंग फॉर्म में करे. ये एक इंडिविजुअल का एक फंडामेंटल राइट है. एंड दिस राइट हैज वेरियस थिंग्स which are included under it. For example, freedom of silence, freedom of press, and right to telecast, and right to know about the government activities, and right to know about the and right to advertise, right to commercial advertisement. तो ये जो सारी चीजें हैं वो इसी राइट के अंदर इंक्लूड की गई है. But as we all know that these rights are not unlimited, they can be curbed by the state on reasonable grounds. So this right is can be restricted by the government on the grounds of on the various grounds like security, sovereignty and integrity of the country. Number 2, public order. Number 3, defamation. नंबर 4 है कंटेम्प्ट ऑफ कोर्ट एंड जो जो फिफ्थ है, it is incitement of any offense. These are the some grounds on which government has power to impose restriction on the exercise of right to freedom of speech and expression. हम इन ग्राउंड्स को हमें ध्यान में रखना है कि किन किन आधारों पर जो है गवर्नमेंट रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर सकती है इस फंडामेंटल राइट को. दिस ग्राउंड्स मस्ट बी रिजनेबल, वो अनरिजनेबल नहीं होने चाहिए. नाउ द सेकंड राइट, इट इज फ्रीडम ऑफ assembly. It means that every citizen of this country has right to assemble peacefully and without arms. यानी कि हमें पीसफुल असेंबली का एक फंडामेंटल राइट प्राप्त है विदाउट आर्म्स. And it includes public meetings, holding of public meetings and demonstration and take-out procession. And those assemblies which create violence, which create disorder, and which create the disturbance for the public peace can be restricted by the government, by the state. We know that this right is also not unlimited. It can be restricted by the state on the grounds of public order and sovereignty and security of the country. These are the important grounds for its restriction by the state or the government. Now the third right, freedom of association. We live in a democratic country, so this right is most important. It says that every citizen has right to form any association or union or cooperative societies. It means any person has right to form a political party, form a society, form a club or trade unions. But this right is also subject to the restriction by the state on the grounds of, on various grounds like public order and morality, and second is the sovereignty, security and integrity of the country. इन जो आधारों पर है इस फंडामेंटल राइट को गवर्नमेंट क्या कहते हैं उसको कटेल कर सकती है, उसको लिमिट कर सकती है. Now come to the fourth right. It talks about the freedom of movement. We know that freedom of movement is most important for all the citizens. It means that every citizen has right to move freely from one part of the country to another part or the throughout the country. Every person can move without any barrier from one place to another place, but it can be restricted on two grounds. दो grounds पर इसको restrict किया जा सकता है. First ground is the interest of public order, general public, and second is the protection of rights of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe people. यानी कि अगर शेड्यूल ट्राइब जो पीपल्स है उनकी प्रोटेक्शन से अगर उनका राइट्स का वायलेशन हो रहा है तो इस राइट को जो है वो लिमिट किया जा सकता है. Of course we know that the tribal people have their own culture, tradition, customs, language and other various types of customs. So these customs or tradition must be protected, so any outsider is not allowed to enter in these areas. So there are two grounds. First one is the interest of general public, second is the protection of the interest of the scheduled tribes. Now the fifth right, it is about the freedom of residence. It means that every citizen of this country has right to reside or settle in any part of the country. So it has two parts. Number one, right to reside in any part of the country means it means this temporary stay in a particular place. And second is the right to settle in a particular place. It means right to live there permanently. And we know that this right can be restricted by the state on the two grounds. First is the interest of general public. Second is the protection of interest of the scheduled tribes. ये दो आधार हैं जिनके बेस पर इस जो राइट को है वो कर्व किया जा सकता है, जिसको रिस्ट्रिक्ट किया जा सकता है. Because we know that we must protect the culture and traditions of the tribals in the various parts of the country. So no outsider is not allowed to stay or settle in these areas. Now, next and the sixth right is the freedom of profession. Most important right. We know that profession is important for the human livelihood. Without it, human being can't survive. This right says that every person has right to practice any profession or carry on any trade or business or occupation. We know that this right can be restricted by the state on various grounds. For example, the trade, business, or occupation which deals with the immoral activities like the human trafficking, especially women and children. These types of occupation and business can be restricted by the state. And other example is the trade which deals with the production of dangerous substances. Uh, these dangerous substances which are harmful for the human being. These types of trade can also be restricted by the state. Now, the important point about this right is that the state has powers to prescribe any technical and technical qualification for any particular trade and occupation, and human state has powers to carry on various trades and occupation by itself. So these are some powers which state has regarding this right. And uh, and we can see that all these six rights are important for the social development, political development, and individual development in the country. uh, we have seen in this lecture that these rights cannot be cannot be restricted restricted on the unreasonable grounds, because we know that the if there is the violation of fundamental rights of any an individual, he has right to move to the court for the enforcement of these rights. यानी कि जो सरकार है वो इन अधिकारों को वो आर्बिट्री मैनर पे जो है उनको रिस्ट्रिक्ट नहीं कर सकती है. हालांकि सरकार के पास या फिर स्टेट के पास ये पावर है कि वो रिजनेबल ग्राउंड पर इन अधिकारों को रिस्ट्रिक्ट करे, इन पर वो रिस्ट्रिक्शन लगाए, इनको वो लिमिट करे. ये स्टेट के पास पावर है. सो हमने अभी तक ये देखा कि किस किस तरह से जो है अलग अलग जो 6 राइट्स हैं कैसे कैसे अलग अलग तरह से जो है हमें अलग अलग तरह की फ्रीडम देते हैं. If we take its quick revision, and first we discussed the freedom of speech, freedom of speech and expression. Then we discussed the freedom of assembly, and after then we discussed the freedom of association. Then I discussed the freedom of movements and freedom of residence, and in last I discussed the freedom of a profession. So these are most important fundamental rights given under the article 19 of the Indian Constitution. तो जो आज का लेक्चर है वो मेरा यहीं पे समाप्त होता है। थैंक यू सो मच और नमस्कार।